The Pioneer Institute has come out with a new look at the high cost of bus maintenance for the MBTA. In its report, the Institute says the T's costs are the highest in the nation. To talk about the report and the potential for cost savings is the Institute's research director, Greg Sullivan. Thank you very much for being with us, Greg.
Thanks for having me.
First of all, talk about how high are these costs for maintaining the buses here?
Well, of the 25 major transit agencies in the United States, the MBTA ranked highest for cost of maintaining vehicles per hour of operation. And it's about 70% higher than the average in the rest of the country. One of the reasons for this is that the amount of hours, labor hours that go into it are also extraordinarily high compared to the rest. So the MBTA is considering putting out to bid about a third of the MBTA's bus service. And this has been a matter of great consternation over the past 15 or 20 years in Massachusetts.
Now, I know you've made the comparison with some other systems in cities that are of comparable size. I also looked at your chart. New York was almost as bad as the Boston area, but on the other hand, Chicago, which also has tough winter weather, they were a lot cheaper. So how do you explain this?
Yeah, we did a comparison a couple of years ago, comparing the MBTA to the snowiest transit agencies in the country. We were ranked 7th of the major transit agencies, but the cost for bus maintenance of the average of those is we're twice as high as they are. Our bus maintenance is very expensive. A lot of it has to do with the fact that they're very burdensome contract, high staffing, managers in foreman can't do any repair work. The work's very segmented, so that if you're doing one job, no one can move the bus over another part of the garage. And this was an amazing occurrence happened when Governor Weld was in office. He tried to outsource about a third of the MBTA bus service at that time. And the legislature came in and blocked it by passing a law called the Pacheco Law, which basically said that you couldn't outsource unless you could prove that the employees at the T could do the work more cheaply if they were operating at maximum efficiency. So no one's been able to prove that at the MBTA, because it's very theoretical, kind of Alice in Wonderland standard. But they blocked it, and that cost the T about $25 million a year, every year since then, which adds up to more than $400 million. Now Governor Baker has been given permission by the legislature to outsource at the MBTA, and they've been doing it. They've been doing it in a bunch of very smart areas, I think.
Well, the T had some problems when it tried to overhaul some Silver Line buses. They had some people in Maine working on that, and then they came back and said, this is taking more time, and I guess we're going to need more money.
Actually, the MBTA has outsourced some of its. These are heavy midlife repairs of buses. They did it out when Governor Romney was in. They sent them to Michigan. And the MBTA's finance director said that if the T had done it in-house, it would have cost about 50% more. That particular contract you're talking about is for the Silver Line buses. That's the service that goes from the airport to South Station, a few stops in between, also down in South Boston. And they have to use special buses. They're hybrid because it goes through a tunnel. You can't have diesel in a tunnel. So it's diesel / electric. In fact, those buses aren't even being made anymore. But there was a bid from a quasi-public entity in Maine, really a public entity, and they bid way below what anybody expected they would bid. So even though the price has gone up, it's still barely over what the original estimate was, and far less than would have cost to be done in-house at the T.
Well, if the T is going to at least experiment with privatizing bus maintenance, you mentioned the Pacheco Law. That has been more or less suspended for a while, and I guess the idea is, what about the future of this now?
Well, the legislature granted the MBTA 3 years. And they have been taking advantage of that by outsourcing a bunch of different things. I think that the administration would like to have it extended. I don't know if the legislature will extend it. I hope that they will, because the evidence is there that they've saved money. I think a conservative estimate is that the T has saved or will save more than $250 million from what they've already benefited from the Pacheco law. They cut the costs in half for their warehouse operation, Sullivan's Tools, to a private company. They've taken many other aspects of the MBTA and put them out to bid. Because the Pacheco law was suspended, according to the MBTA officials, they were able to renegotiate the Carmen's union contract for lower pay increases, different classifications for jobs, for seniority, bumping rights, and so forth, that they estimate will save more than $200 million over the next decade.
A lot of money is lost through fare evasion. I've seen people, trick the sensors and get a free ride. So, I mean, they got to do something about that, don't they?
Well, here we are on Com Ave, 640 Com Ave, and right in front of us is the Green Line. That Green Line is one of the biggest fare evasion parts of the system. That, plus the commuter rail, has to do with the fact that the conductor basically has to be responsible to monitor who pays. When the traffic is heavy, a lot of commuters in the system, they want to open both doors. There's no pay station in the back door, and they're not going to stop that train and go chasing down the subway. So it's a problem. They're trying to do a workaround to figure out how to do that. On commuter rail, the estimates, they may be losing somewhere short of 10% of their revenue a year from not from people who evade fares, just that nobody collects the fare from you. In fact, I rode in today on the commuter rail, and nobody collected my fare. And they didn't collect my fare yesterday. I have a senior pass, so they punched the card. So the idea of punching a card makes me think like the 1940s with the conductor with a hat. We've got to move into the modern age on fare collection.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Thanks a lot.
Greg Sullivan from the Pioneer Institute. In a moment, taking on struggles with mental illness and trauma, we'll hear about the initiative called Bringing Back Boston.